journalism is the first draft of history, but any writer knows first drafts are riddled with errors and mistakes. First drafts suck. This is a shitty first draft these people are writing right now. I knew I had written a damn good book, and it was frustrating, the slow pace of sales. But then when the award nominations came in, it's not validation, but it's vindication.
Hi, I'm KJ Aiello, and welcome to Season 2 of The Book Hook, where each episode we dig into writing and storytelling that challenges the status quo and examines how authors use their work to resist, to question, and to reimagine our world. No surface-level chat, just thoughtful conversations for critical readers like you. Today, I'm chatting with award-winning journalist and senior contributor to CBC Sports, Morgan Campbell, about his debut book, My Fighting Family, Borders, Bloodlines, and the Battles That Made Us. In this episode, we dig into all the gritty, hopeful, and hilarious stories that have helped shape Morgan into the writer he is today. So get your coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into today's conversation. So Morgan Campbell, we've got here today. Morgan is an award-winning journalist, currently, I think, still a senior contributor to the CBC Sports.
Yep.
A contributor to the New York Times for almost 2 decades. How does that make you feel? You have worked at Toronto Star, where you established yourself as one of Canada's finest sports writers. Morgan's best work highlights the spaces where sport intersects with off-the-field issues like race, culture, politics, and business. Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Book Hook Nation.
Book Hook Nation. That's right. Should I rename the podcast? Book Hook Nation.
No, that's your fans. That's the fan base.
Oh, Book Hook Nation. It'd be like Taylor Nation, right?
Exactly.
Well, congratulations on My Fighting Family here. Borders and Bloodlines and the Battles That Made Us. I just finished reading it over the weekend. Fabulous read. And again, this is definitely the intersection where sports meets race, politics, culture. It is this interstitial space, and you have called it in the past your love letter to Black America. What does that mean?
Oh, you come straight out off the rip with the big questions.
That's what I do here.
One, and I say this all the time, so people who've seen me do interviews or read my interviews, they'll have heard a version of this, and it's that African American culture is a culture that, like every other group of people in the world, sort of treats like an a la carte buffet that they can pick and choose from as they please, appropriate, amalgamate, assimilate. So and I say this all the time, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, everyone in the world flatters Black America by imitating slang, way of dress, music, style of dance to the extent that they can, right? But not a lot of authentic love. And so it was really important for me to write a story that explored my Black American heritage while also honoring the richness of like this cultural wellspring, that I had access to growing up. And to really explore and talk about Black American culture in ways that's not superficial, in ways that's not cliche, in ways that don't pander to stereotypes, but also don't go out of their way to prove any. Just do it. Just show and don't tell, and write something that feels authentic. So it's funny that you asked me that question today, because I just got a DM from a guy named Cam Herman who lives here in Toronto. He's from Georgia, and he DM'd me on Instagram. He's telling me he's Black American living here in Toronto, still trying to get a handle on Canadian racial politics. What he said was, every time you share your dad's voice in the story, every time you share your dad's voice, it feels like a little bit of home for me. Which was like one of the goals. I wanted people who like are actually familiar with Black American culture, the way Black Americans speak, the places we're coming from, the places we've been, to identify with it.
Right.
Which is different from just like jacking a bunch of slang or like larding your speech with like the N-word to try to prove that you got a handle on African American vernacular English, right? That's all easy stuff to do. And you can do all that without ever meeting like an actual African American. So as I say in the book, it's one thing to grow up with Black American pop culture around you. It's something else to have it in your house.
And your background straddles both music and sports.
Yes.
So that's just For me, I don't know if this is just my bias, that feels like such a, separated, one at one end, one at the other end, kind of cultural space as well between music and sports. What is that like and how has that shaped you?
Yeah, well, one, music is the reason we're here. My family, we're
Mhm,
here.
mhm,
Is that like my grandfather was a musician. He was a jazz musician, a
mhm,
pianist, and he used to get booked in Toronto. And that's the only reason anyone in my family even gave a second thought to life on the other side of the border. They did not think, like a lot of Americans, they don't think about anything that's happening beyond the border. Why would they do that? Canada's just
mhm,
this place, you know? Uh, but my grandfather, he got booked in Toronto a few times in the mid 60s and he fell in love with the place.
mhm,
And then he brought, his wife and then my mom's youngest brother, their youngest child, my uncle Jeff, who is also a musician. And he was a
mhm,
kid back then, just playing with his friends, but now he's a professional. He's been a professional musician for the last 50 years.
mhm.
You guys have seen my uncle Jeff. He plays bass for Red Rider. He plays bass with Burton Cummings, like right now. So every time I look
Amazing.
up, he's on the road either with Tom Cochran or with Burton. But you all have seen him. You go look those old Red Rider videos from the '80s. That's my uncle, the black guy, playing bass
That's
with little fro and the
fabulous.
mustache. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so if it were not for music and specifically Black American music, jazz music,
Mhm,
like we would not be here.
mhm,
You know, and so I did not grow. I dabbled in saxophone or whatever, but I do come from a family of musicians. In every generation, there's one professional musician. My sister, she's a singer. She's back in Chicago, and so I grew up immersed in it. So it's tough to tell. It's never even a thought for me to tell the story of my family or myself in the context of my family without using music as context because it's
mhm.
key.
And sports, football in particular, I believe you've said in some previous interviews it helped to keep your family together, particularly your parents' crumbling
Sort of,
marriage.
yeah. Well,
Sort
the
of.
thing about my family is,
Yeah.
my parents are from Chicago,
Hmm.
and if you know anything about Midwesterners, is that they love their football. My mom watches more football than I do. Any like Saturday night, I'll get a phone call. It'll be my mom coming to talk to me about college football, the games she watched, whoever was playing. I can't believe Indiana beat Ohio State, stuff like this, right? Um, yeah. So there's a chapter in the book. I guess, and right now we're like in the 40th anniversary of all this stuff happening. It's
Hmm.
the 40th anniversary of the Chicago Bears winning the Super Bowl, and there's a chapter in my book about how my family is these Chicagoans abroad, related um, to this Chicago Bears historic run to the Super Bowl, and
Hmm.
as this team is doing things they hadn't done in 40 years, and got every Chicagoan in the world, Chicago and abroad, energized. My parents' marriage is dissolving, and
Hmm.
so memories of that Super Bowl season, they're always, they make me happy as a Bears fan, but they're all, they're very, to use a cliche, it's bittersweet because that was also the year that my parents' marriage, for once and for all, was falling
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah. And it was as you were, I think you were 17 and starting really to find your way into sports on your
Mhm.
own in football, college applications when your dad passed.
Yep.
Such a pivotal moment in your life, particularly at that age.
Yes.
What what was that like and how has that shaped you?
I mean, the biggest thing it taught me at an early age is that, like, you're not always going to get what you want. You're not always going to get what you ask
Mhm,
for. Bad stuff is going to happen. Things aren't always going to be perfect for you,
mhm,
but you can still make a way.
mhm,
You can still grow. You can still do what you need to do, which is different from saying, like, I didn't need my dad because I needed him,
mhm, mhm,
but I didn't have him.
mhm,
But life is not going to stop for you. And so, sort of like in the rest of my life, moving forward, like, I'm not a person that just needs things to be perfect or waits for things to be perfect because I know what it is when things aren't perfect. Yeah, and it does suck. And it is sad.
mhm,
But that doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you need to do. And so for me, like, that was the big takeaway. And again, I mentioned this in the acknowledgement. I was lucky in that I just had a group of friends who supported me without feeling sorry for me. That's the other thing, is that
mhm.
sympathy is a it's a drug. Pity, it's a drug,
Yeah.
and it feels good in the moment, but like you get hooked on it, and it's tough to get off of it. And I got really lucky in that my friends, they supported me, but they weren't giving me the poor Morgan routine over and over and over and over again. You know, and that helped me grow up and move forward.
A real extended family for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of family, I fell in love with, I'm going to call her now, Mama Campbell.
Oh. the way I describe it to people is that I am the narrator, the protagonist of this book. My mom is the star. But yes,
kind of, yeah, she totally is. Can we just talk about, or I don't know, pay homage to the fact that she actually punched a kid?
Oh yeah,
when she was a kid. Kind of badass.
Yeah. Well, how plugged in is your audience to what's happening in Chicago right now?
I'm going to assume they can make their own answer to that. Well, I would hope so. They're plugged in. Yeah.
You saw all these federal troops come to Chicago.
Yeah.
Try to start strong arming people.
Yeah.
What happened? How did the Chicagoans react? Right? They started getting whistles to blow the whistles whenever they saw ICE. They got on these mobile apps to get these guys up out of here. Did whatever they had to do to show ICE and these other masked federal goons, you don't come mess with Chicago. And so I grew up around Chicagoans. I have never met a Chicagoan in my life that puts up with bullshit.
Yeah.
A very tough town full of tough people. And so federal government, before they sent in the troops, they could have asked my mom what would happen. She would have told them, we're going to fight back. We're going to get y'all asses out of here because y'all don't belong here. Yeah. So in the book, my mom, the other thing I don't know that your audience understands about Chicago is it's highly racially segregated, even now. But back then, you know, my mom, this was like in the 50s.
Yeah.
And my mom's family was the only black family in a white neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I don't mean there were a handful of black, they were the only black family in this white neighborhood. And so one day my mom's walking home from school. She's not my mom back then. She's a 12-year-old kid, 6th grade, walking back to school from after lunch, and some boys from the school, bigger boys, they start following her and hurling these racial slurs at her. They think it's fun. She didn't think it's fun, and at a certain point she's like, I had enough of this shit, and she just turns around and hits the biggest kid right in the face, boom, right across the jaw, and he stumbles into like the storefront and almost shatters the window because he hits it face first.
Yeah.
And so then there's this moment where it's 3 boys and my mom, and they're just all kind of staring at each other like, what are we going to do next? So my mom just gave him a look up and down, turned, walked back to school. She's like, you know what? I never had a problem with any of those guys ever again.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that. First of all, you know, she's this young girl who decked this idiot kid, but I can only imagine how hard and perhaps dangerous that would have been as a black girl.
Yes.
In a white community to do something like that. She must have been scared.
Yes, but she was more angry than scared because she punched the dude. But at the same time, it's 3 boys and 1 girl, right?
Yeah.
And so now the boys aren't going to go back to school and be like, that girl beat us up. You can't do that. So the fact that she was able to do it, she has us over them for good. Because they can't. What are they going to do? It's 3 of us and 1 little girl, and my mom is not tall.
Yeah.
And even now, my mom is like 5 feet tall. She's very physically strong. But like, yeah, what do they go tell the teacher?
Yep.
There's nothing they can do.
Go ahead, kiddo.
But it's also a valuable lesson, and this is something that, you know, my mom drilled into us, both my parents, but like how you deal with bullies. Getting in a fight isn't necessarily wrong. Like if the person is messing with you, you are within your rights to punch that person in the face. You might get in trouble at school. I never got in trouble with my parents for punching like a bully, someone that harassed me, whatever. Would rather I do that than let someone do it to me. I guess now you don't handle bullies that way because we're supposed to be hands off and blah, blah, blah. But again, it works in politics too, which is like some of these Democrats are starting to learn in the US. And again, Chicago set the example. Someone comes in and tries to bully you, you punch them in the face, they will act different.
And that's the Chicago way.
Yes.
See, I grew up very different than that too. I have an older brother, only 2 years older, and we were both bullied. I mean, I was a weird kid, shocker, right? Everyone's completely surprised about that. And when we were bullied, my brother was put into boxing lessons.
Okay.
And I was held back from school.
Yeah, because this is like in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're similar age, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of like women's boxing back then, not like now.
No.
Now there's women's boxing everywhere. But yeah, back then, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of jealous of the youth these days, particularly the young girls, and
Yeah.
with this ability to be able to fight back. And I think I saw something in your mom there that not just a pride there, but just sort of this, oh yeah, I hope that for girls. I really
Exactly.
hope that. Just deck the asshole.
Exactly.
Just fight back. Do it the Chicago way.
Yes.
Um, Now you mentioned what's happening in Chicago, what has recently happened in Chicago,
Mhm.
but what is happening all over the US. And as, a black man straddling between Canada and the US, how what is it like for you to witness what is happening in the US?
Well, I add another layer to it too. Like as a longtime member of the media, it's frustrating to watch mainstream media outlets as a group sort of refuse to connect the dots. And so here comes Trump, immediately downsizes or hires Elon Musk to downsize the federal government. And these job cuts
Mhm.
disproportionately affect black women. Here's Trump with a with an all white cabinet,
Mhm.
except the head of HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And if you're fluent in U.S. politics, HUD deals with public housing. That is about as cliche a role for a black cabinet member as you can imagine. It is every bit as cliche as the black person dying first in the horror movie. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? And this is
Yeah.
what Trump is doing, right? And this whole immigration policy and sending troops into cities to round up people who look a certain way or talk a certain
Mhm.
language, and telling one set of people that our country is full, we ain't got room for any more immigrants, but on the other hand, rolling out the welcome mat for white South Africans. And so these are all racist acts with racist consequences. But it is frustrating to watch the mainstream media just refuse to cover it that way, as if all of these things
Mhm.
are just isolated incidents and don't form a broader pattern and don't sort of illustrate this regime, this administration's attitude toward racial justice. Uh, Here's Trump in the United States, federal holidays,
Mhm.
free entrance to national
Mhm.
parks. Now, Trump has said no free entrance on Martin Luther King Day, no free entrance on Juneteenth, but free entrance on my birthday. Now, why
Mhm.
single out Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth, right? And so that is what is frustrating to me watching all of this unfold, is what I see what they're trying to do. And they would love to turn this, turn turn the clock back in
Mhm.
terms of racial equality, turn it back to the years after Reconstruction, Civil War, 8 years after the Civil War, when federal troops are in the South protecting black people's rights, black
Yeah.
people are getting elected, right? Black
Yeah.
people can vote.
Yeah.
Federal troops leave, and white people come back with full force,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And set up, the Jim Crow laws, the
Mhm.
Jim Crow caste system that people became familiar with, up until, and it lasted untouched until the '60s, right?
Yeah.
I'm painting with my broad brushstrokes here, but you see what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And it's frustrating to watch again, journalists, and and the old cliche is that journalism is the first draft of history, but any writer
Mhm.
knows first drafts are riddled with errors and mistakes. First drafts suck. And this is a
Mhm.
shitty first draft these people are writing right now. It's frustrating. It's chilling. I'm heartened again to see like certain segments of the population taking it upon themselves to fight back, and to see some of these Democrat politicians figure out that they got to fight back too, and that like appeasing an aspiring authoritarian doesn't work. It has never worked. Again, read your history.
Mhm. Mhm.
It has never worked. It never does work. If you consider him a bully, you treat him like you got to treat bullies. You don't give the bully your lunch money hoping he's not going to ask for it tomorrow. You
Yeah.
give him $1 today, he's going to ask for $2
He's
tomorrow.
gonna double down. Yep.
You got to punch him in the face. That's it. Because even if he might be able to beat you up, but he ain't in it for a fight. He's just in it to push you around. So he might
Yeah.
be better at you than fighting, but if it is too much trouble for him to take your money every day, he's not going to do it. Some of these Democrats think, well, give him my lunch money today. He'll leave me
Yeah.
alone for the no, 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 no. He's going to ask for more. You got to punch him in the face. That's it. But it is frustrating, and I don't know if scary is the word, but it's something I can't quite think of the word to put on it. Discouraging, and also I can't, like, I just don't take for granted that like the country as a whole and like white American conservatives are just gonna snap out of this trance they're in.
Mm.
I think these are more the default settings for a
Yeah.
large proportion of the people in that country. And the sooner everyone else who's not racist recognizes that, then the sooner you can get to real solutions. But if you are, still hanging out with your racist neighbor because you think your racist neighbor is a good guy, the fact that your racist neighbor is racist tells you that person is not a good guy, and you got to treat that person accordingly. And they can grow up, they can smarten up, but otherwise, you keep coddling them or treating them like there's nothing wrong with the way that they treat other people, we're gonna be stuck on this treadmill, right? This is one of the big miscalculations. Kamala Harris was not really set up to succeed, right? There was no primary process. She just got bumped to the top of the ticket when Biden dropped out. But one of the bets she made, there's a lot of ways to look at that election and how it broke down for the Democrats and how everything happened to break right for the Republicans. One way to look at it is Kamala Harris made a big bet that like a critical mass of white American voters were not going to vote like a bunch of self-sabotaging bigots. And Donald Trump was like, I will take that bet all day, every day. Because I'll get these people riled up about Haitians eating dogs, whatever. All these people that we're telling them are coming to take their jobs. Every single person that votes for me, well, not every single, but like, because the billionaires, I'm going to make them richer. But like every single working class person that votes for me, their life is going to be worse 5 years from now. And they might know it and they don't care. You know why? Because you know why they don't care? Because I told them that I'm going to sick them on the Haitians. And they take that bargain. And the thing is, now Kamala, her family has not been in the U.S. as long as like my family's been in the U.S., right? So maybe she didn't realize this is just a thing that never changes. But like, this is how, again, just a large segment of the electorate seems to sort of come off the assembly line that way. And so now, do I know how to get people to stop voting like a bunch of self-sabotaging bigots? No, it's just not a bet, the Democrats should have made going into this election. So much of the post-election postmortems were about, okay, what do Democrats need to do? Do Democrats need to shift to the right? Like Kamala Harris campaigned with Liz Cheney. The only way to campaign further to the right was for Kamala Harris herself to have said the Haitians are eating your dogs.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how far right the Democrats are going to shift. If you're telling the Democrats to become, like MAGA light, there already is a MAGA party, and the people that are into that are already voting for that. You're not going to sway those people. They got to come to you on their own, but you are not going to tell them, oh, vote for us because we don't like trans people either. Like, they already got a guy that don't like trans people. They got what they need.
And it's a played out history too. We've seen this before. And this is one of the things, the MAGA, the far right, the Trumpers, they pander to this fear mongering to, the middle to lower class white man who feels disenfranchised and needs a target to direct that hate towards. And of course, who has always historically been that target, our Black communities, our immigrants, our brown.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, one of the things that's different, and one of the undercurrents that had been happening in Chicago until recently was that, there's a lot of tension between like the new migrants, the people from Venezuela or wherever, and like incumbent Black people. Republicans, Donald Trump, they poke and they prod at that wound, at that sore spot. Right? That's when Donald Trump went on one of his rants about they're taking Black jobs. Oh, what's a Black job?
Yeah.
I ain't seen no Venezuelans playing cornerback in the NFL. What's a Black job? I mean, what he means is like long hours, low pay, low status jobs that you people should be in. Now these people
blue collar work.
But trying to foment this division between Black Americans and migrants from Latin America, whom we forget, many of whom are also Black. Because when I walk down the street in Caracas, nobody asked me if I was not from there. I fit right in. A lot of those migrants look like me, right? Point is, like, that was the first time, one of the very few times that Black people were invited to this anti-immigrant party, which has everything to do with the fact that a lot of these immigrants are not white, because for the most part, immigrants come to the U.S. and they get invited to the anti-Black party. Like, again, when my mom was growing up, she grew up around all kinds of people that post-World War II who recently arrived from Eastern Europe, and they got to Chicago and they figured out very quickly what the racial hierarchy was, and they figured out where they ranked, and where they knew they ranked was above the N-words. Whereas now in Chicago, at least for a while, but like I think the ICE raids changed all that and opened a lot of people's eyes to who really should be on whose side here. But this is what you saw the Republicans try to do when Trump came to the National Association of Black Journalists convention in 2024 in Chicago. He started questioning Kamala Harris's Blackness, right? Well, all she's only ever been Indian. All of a sudden she turned Black. These are Republicans, not, and the goal isn't to like present themselves positively, like provide a positive reason for Black people to vote for them. All he wanted to do was scare Black people away from Kamala by questioning her authenticity, as a Black person. And so, the difference now is that, when these federal troops raided that building in Chicago, they had everybody face down on the pavement. Black people, Latino, citizens, non-citizens, all in zip ties, right? And so the big message is the people doing this, whoever these federal troops are, federal military contractors are, whoever they are, they discriminate, but they don't. They discriminate on some base. But again, if you're darker than a paper bag, you could wind up, in the back of a truck. So yeah, it's a very strange time. I hope that some people can make themselves into a light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not that hopeful.
Journalism is one of the pillars of democracy, and this is your job, right? As a journalist, you see this, and we see, history not only being erased, but being rewritten by the victor, aka, white supremacists. I'm wondering, I don't know if this is something that we could talk about, if it's in your wheelhouse. I suspect it might be, but there is a direct correlation. You can draw a line between the silencing of journalists, arrests of journalists, erasure of history, to book banning. And we see this happening. And of course, you and I are authors. So this, directly impacts us, you more so than me in this and that. I'm a white woman, I'm a white author. It's very unlikely my book will be banned.
Right.
And I see it though with my colleagues. I'm wondering if there's, what your thoughts are on that, if you have feelings about that.
I mean, listen, before you guys don't ban my book, burn it. Go buy as many copies as you can. Yeah, buy them all. Okay,
just buy more. Like,
make a big bonfire.
Reprint.
Yes,
reprint.
If you burn that, we'll print some more. Burn those too. Okay, do that for me.
Yeah.
But again, it's like these book bans, they are not coincidental, right?
Yeah.
Oh, let's ban Toni Morrison. Mm-hmm. Let's ban Ibrahim Kendi. Let's ban Nicole Hannah-Jones. Mm-hmm. Should we ban Ayn Rand? No. Ban Jack London.
Nope. Hell
right.
no.
Right. But then it's also incumbent upon journalists to point that out and explore that. Why are these banned books disproportionately by authors of color? And get somebody to defend it. And also, you don't have to, just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. You don't have to frame this is my other problem with journalism in the Trump era, is that so many outlets have just turned themselves into megaphones for Trump. Mm-hmm. And they think that what he says or what his press attaché says is news simply for the fact that they said it. But if the news business is also the truth business, and these people are not telling the truth when they talk, then what they say in and of itself is not news, unless you were going to talk about how it's not true. But yeah, these two things absolutely go together. But like, journalists like just sort of report on this like, ooh, shame what's happening to those authors. Well, I guess I'm safe. Well, no, you're not safe.
Yeah, no, nobody's safe, really.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to get news organizations to see the forest for the trees, especially when it comes to the Trump administration and like the very obvious patterns, that emerge when you look at their decisions and their actions.
And of course, we see book bans happening, silent book bans, but becoming a little bit more vocal now, particularly in Alberta. And we have, in Canada, American audience here in Canada, we cannot access our news on any of the meta platforms, right? So what kind of news are we consuming? It's the news that we want to see.
Yes.
Right? It's this echo chamber. It caters to our cognitive bias, and that's frustrating.
It's frustrating. And as a veteran of the news industry too, it's the industry as a whole just was not prepared for this media ecosystem, and this industry, handed over too much control to the company that has become Meta. I'm trying to remember, is it that Meta does not want to pay taxes? And that's
there's a fee. Basically, It's like the PLR, the public lending rights. Yeah. So not Trump. Oh my goodness, Trudeau.
TRU. It's
the other T.
Halfway there. Yeah.
Halfway there. Thought he was doing a service to journalists and journalistic outlets by saying, they need to get paid anytime there's a share, reshare, whatever on Meta. And Meta's like, okay, we are, $1 trillion industry. We're not going to do that. So we're going to
Yeah, I
ban
mean,
all Canadian
he
news.
was doing a service.
He was trying
And
to.
it's
Backfired.
not his fault that Meta
Nope.
just acts in the absolute worst of faith
Are we
as much of the time
shocked?
as possible, right? But quick aside from my days at the Toronto Star, there was a
Yeah.
time when they brought in, this was probably 2014ish, they brought in a consultancy to teach us all how to master Facebook. And their solution was every single journalist in there create a Facebook page for their journalism, and that you write a story for the Star, you post it on your Morgan Campbell journalist Facebook page, and then from there, hopefully people click on it and go back to the Star's website, and hopefully from there somehow you make money. That part no one ever clarified, which is like if you worked in the newspaper industry in the 2000s, 2010s, you got used to that. All kinds of people telling you that this scheme or that scheme was going to make money, but never really laying out how, right? But one of the things that happened is that this crew came in and they were emphasizing like organic reach, which is you post your thing post this little link on your page and Facebook is going to show it to all the people that follow you. But about 2 or 3 months before they came to visit us pushing organic reach, Facebook had already made the decision that they were going for paid reach. And so say if I got 1,000 followers on my page and I post my link, Facebook is not going to show it to all 1,000 people unless I pay them, because they wanted paid reach. My organic reach, Facebook was going to limit to like 8% of the people following my page, a 0.5% of the people following my page, whatever it was, because you can see the impressions, right? And this was, again, because you have a bunch of decision makers that don't understand the environment they're operating in. And so what happens is all of us as reporters, we all made these pages, noticed very quickly that the reach was not there, because we would all have a few hundred followers, 1,000 followers, whatever it was, but the number of impressions on each of your links that you posted was 18, 72, whatever it was. So we called back. So this time they called Facebook. You know what Facebook's solution was? Post more on Facebook. And instead of just posting the link, like, hey, if you got, 500 words you want to write about blah, 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 post it on your Facebook page. Facebook essentially coming in and saying, this job that the newspaper pays you to do it on our platform. We publish it and we don't pay you anything. And so this is the environment that we are navigating. Like news organizations are navigating, not understanding. Like they think Facebook is there to help them. And Facebook is just there with their handout, just like anyone else. And so now I don't know how news organizations like are going to wind up succeeding in breaking this dependence on these social platforms. They do need to at least recalibrate how they use them and understand that like Meta is not here to save you. Meta likes you just because you're a huge organization with a bunch of followers, and it's just more data for them to scrape to make themselves richer, but they're not here to help you.
At this point, it feels like you can't extricate truth, untruth, and capitalism.
Yeah.
Which, it compromises the news that we receive, the truth that we receive.
Yeah, because good reporters are expensive. News gathering is expensive. But the audience likes free, and the audience is conditioned to free. And again, this was part of the newspaper industry's, one of the mistakes they made at the outset of the internet era is that they conditioned their whole audience to consume this product for free. And then 10 years later, they say, well, we want you to pay. And people are like, why would I pay?
Yeah.
And then when they start introducing the idea of charging people, they say we have a paywall. Like, show some self-respect, man. Just say this is the price. Like when I go to Starbucks, the coffee costs what it costs. The coffee does not have a paywall. This is just the price. This is a price list. No one's telling you that I'm going to put this wall between you and the thing you want. It's just a price. But we, in the newspaper industry, the people who are supposed to know about words and what they mean, are like, excuse me, reader, you want to access this? Climb this paywall first. Instead of just saying, hey, look, this is what it costs. That's just set the expectation. This thing costs a little something. Because people pay for YouTube Premium. People, not that many people, but people do pay for Twitter blue checks. Like if you as a news organization, like offer people something they want, they need, make yourself part of their habit, they'll pay. But don't paywall. Don't call it a barrier. Jeez.
It does. That language feels, it feels elitist.
Or just exclusionary. Because they haven't told me that there's anything like fancy behind the wall.
Yeah.
They just said there's a wall.
Yeah.
You can't get from here to there because we have a wall.
Yeah, even when I see, like, and I'm not as in journalism as you are, but as a freelance writer, whenever I see a paywall, that immediate frustration comes up. But
Yes.
you want my money? Oh, and I've been conditioned. I'm a writer. I should know because the
Yeah.
writers need to get paid.
Yes.
Guys, how do you think we get paid? Do
Right.
you go to the grocery store and get your food for free? As much as that would probably be a good idea,
Right.
we cannot do this. The
No.
farmers need to get paid.
Exactly.
The workers. So
It's
on that light note,
yes.
I want to my very elegant segue here. We met finally in person at the Rakuten. I always say it wrong. The Rakuten Kobo.
Yes.
The what's
the
it
Emerging
called?
Writer Prize.
Thank you.
Across,
It's
across from the
Monday.
RUM. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you were also a finalist for the Ontario Trillium Awards.
Yes.
For this amazing book, My
Yep.
Fighting Family, everybody else, all the listeners here, Borders and Bloodlines and the Battles That Made Us, Morgan Campbell's fabulous memoir. How does all that success feel?
It's strange. Do we want to talk about like the actual book business here to your listeners? Do they like books or do they like the business of books?
Probably a bit of both, I would imagine. Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
No, because I'm always honest with people about.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it. The honesty. That's what we want.
Yeah,
it's the honesty.
The only time I ever that's what I'm looking for. Issue a disclaimer. Is if I'm talking to like a classroom of university students and I say to them, I will be honest with you if you guys put your phones down and don't tweet what I'm saying.
Okay.
Don't put it on Instagram or whatever. Okay. Because then when I proceed to tell them how messed up the industry is, I don't need that. Former Toronto Star reporter Morgan Campbell says this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of context.
Yes. But anyway, here's the thing. Sales for the book have been very sluggish, in ways that are very frustrating, but it's also like has to do with the business, the way the business is structured. It has to do with the fact that this book is hardly available at all in the US, even though half of it takes place in the US. This is all book industry stuff. How certain books, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to which books are going to get pushed in the US. Exactly.
What? That makes no sense.
There's not a lot of rhyme or reason for whatever reason first time around. So like last year because I was trying to figure out why. So last year in November, I was in Chicago. I stopped by a bookstore called Call and Response, which is in Hyde Park, around the corner from the University of Chicago. Pretty new. They opened like May of 2024, something like that. Cute little bookstore, independently owned. And I went in there and I bought a couple books and I was talking to the owner and I showed them my book. Her name was Courtney. And she read the dust cover and she's like, man, I love the idea of this book. How come I've never heard of this book? I was like, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me because I don't know why this book is not in the US. And then they went and they searched me on Ingram, which is the big book wholesaler. And they're like, yeah, your problem is your book is delisted it's not listed on Ingram. So people don't know to find it. So I'm going to order some copies from the publisher, but you got to find out why you're not on Ingram. And so I get home, I start emailing the publisher, like, how come they're not on Ingram? Because I'm talking to American booksellers. They want the book. They can't find it on Ingram. And they're like, oh, yeah, no one bought it initially, so it got delisted and they sent all the copies back. But if no U.S. retailers picked up on this book, it's because no one pushed it to them.
Yep.
Because any like independent bookseller I've spoken to about the book, come in contact with about the book, they've liked it. The point is, I've been really frustrated for the year and a half or so since the book had come out, because it had been next to impossible to like get a foothold in the U.S. And the Canadian, every market is fickle, but you got to give it yourself a chance. One day, Oprah might find your book, and then you're off and running. But like, she can't find it if she can't find it. You know what I mean?
Dream, aim for them, right? Make it happen.
And so I knew I had written a damn good book.
Damn good book.
And it was frustrating, like, the slow pace of sales. But then when the award nominations came in, it's not validation, but it's vindication. Because, like, I know I'm not crazy. I know this book was good. I've read what's out there, too. Like, I know a good book from a bad book.
Yeah.
And I was telling someone else, like, the Goodread ratings, like, I'm happy for them. I finally got bumped back above 4.0,
Yeah.
But, like, they're not always reliable, right?
Don't go.
Because I've read some really bad books that have the 3.8 rating. and I read some certified bangers, same rating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the awards juries, they're like, no, listen, this is a damn good book. Morgan, you wrote a damn good book. So I felt vindicated because I know I'm not crazy. I know my book is good.
Yeah.
Very good. It's damn good.
It
And
is
so
damn good.
The main, yeah, the main reaction, the main emotion I felt again in the wake of these award nominations was vindication. And then there's also a business aspect to it in the sense that when the paperback comes out, which is in June.
Okay.
Take
note.
And the book will have all these. The paperback will have all these stickers on it.
Yes.
From these different award nominations to signal to the audience that this is a good book and not just a book. Yeah, we like when the paperback comes out, like we got to give this book a second life. It deserves, more than it got the first time around. And whichever way it fell through the cracks with the U.S. retailers the first time, we got to make sure it doesn't happen the second time. But again, as a writer, you want to sell as many as the hardcovers as you can, just because it's a higher royalty rate. Right?
We got to make money, guys.
You get 10% of the cover price, right? Or 10% up to a certain number of books. And then there's an escalator clause that kicks in. But like the cover price, man, I gotta get 10% of 35 as much as I can before I switch to 10% of 26. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the better it sells, the more likelihood that your next book,
That's
Morgan, will get picked up.
What I don't need is to go back to them, for book 2, and they're like, we like book 1, but it didn't sell. So
because they didn't push it.
We can buy the book from you, but like, I hope you like nickels and dimes. Like, I don't need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for the amount of work that goes into it, the heart that goes into it. I don't know about you, but writing my book was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. I can imagine yours was pretty hard to write too.
Yeah, it was like mentally, emotionally, I had to go to a place, to revisit some of these scenes, revisit some of these moments. And then sometimes literally physically I had to go to a place so like I had to get out of my house away from I love my daughter, but don't let me sleep. So I could just concentrate and be by myself and get to the places I needed to get to mentally to do all this heavy lifting.
And it's a lot of heavy lifting, and you've done a phenomenal job, Morgan. And I'm so glad we got a chance to chat here today. I say huge congratulations because I do think that you have a banger. Let's just say it's a certified banger. Guys, go pick up a copy, get the hardback, buy it if you can. Go to indie booksellers.
Yes.
If they don't have it, here's a tidbit for everybody listening, watching.
You can tell them.
You can tell them, and they'll get it for you.
Because sometimes I run across, I come across students and they're interested in the book and they're like, maybe I'll get it on Amazon. I'm like, I understand if you want to get it on Amazon because Amazon's cheap, but Amazon is cheap because they go out of their way to undersell the indies. And they would be happy for like all these independent booksellers to go out of business. In the meantime, you're subsidizing a company owned by a guy who just fired all the black people from his newspaper.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, if cost is an issue, ebook, audiobook, they're both cheaper. Or sign the book out from the library because authors get paid when you sign the book out from the library.
It's free, guys. It's free.
KJ mentioned it a minute ago, the public lending right program. You sign the book out from the library, audiobook, ebook, hardcover, paperback, the author gets paid. It is supposed to offset the fact that like every person signing your book out for a library is the person that would otherwise have been buying your book. And so, and now the other reason why we like the PLR program is that like, if you haven't earned out your advance yet, which I have not, like every book sale, like it goes
towards that advance,
evening that ledger. Whereas like you go sign it out from the library, that money comes to me. It doesn't go to the publisher. So because that book has already been bought. So they already got their $3.50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, like your audience probably understands this, but like, like there's not a lot of money in this unless you are well known and doing like big numbers. But like the amount of money you make from selling a single copy of your book, that's like, it's less than my daily coffee. It's less than, because I get espresso. I drink red eyes.
Yeah. That's dangerous.
That's what
Are you sure you're not Italian?
That's what bumps me up from, that's what bumps me up from $2.70 a day to $4.20 a day for my daily coffee. But
I'm so bougie.
No, it's I'm habituated to caffeine is what it is. So I just need a regular coffee doesn't get me alert and on edge. I need the red eye.
It's pathological. I
Yes.
understand. I get it. You need to
Yep.
get one of those espresso makers for home. I mean,
Well, the
maybe
problem
you,
is, but then you just become less and less sensitive to caffeine. You need more and more to get the same effect
what? It's a
until
drug?
until your until your stomach starts hurting.
Yeah, until you have ulcers and
Yeah,
the shakes.
ask me how I know.
Oh no, Morgan, you really are a writer. You
Yes.
really are. Like I'm getting all of it through you there.
Yes.
I had one last thing to say actually
Yeah.
to the audience, and then I totally forgot because it's Monday morning and foggy brain.
See, you should have had that red eye. You'd have been fine.
You would be shocked at the bucket of coffee that I have every single. It's
Actually, would not be shocked.
no word of a lie. It's a
I
lie.
would not be
You
shocked.
would not be shocked. You would not be shocked. But what I was going to say, if you want to buy a copy, it's not at your local bookstore. Ask them to bring it in. They'll probably bring in more than one copy. And
Yep.
that actually goes towards the possibility of reprints. And first print run, usually for a nonfiction book, can run anywhere between 500 copies and 5,000 copies. You
Mhm.
cannot become a bestseller unless you sell probably anywhere between 5,000 copies to 10,000 copies, depending on the
Yes.
bestseller list. So, us even becoming bestsellers does not happen unless you keep requesting the book, guys.
Yes. And the other thing, if any of your listeners like run book clubs,
Yes.
my book is a very very good book club book.
Yes.
And because my background is in sports journalism, because I cover a lot of boxing,
Mhm.
I understand the value of promotion and just making yourself available to people to do interviews or
Yeah.
whatever. So if
Hey.
anyone out here runs a book club and
Yes.
they need a book for their book club, use my book. And if you need me to come visit your book club in person, if you're in Toronto or like virtually, I will do it.
Hells yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the other thing about book clubs is like for authors, like that's how you sell 10 and 20, 30 books at a time instead of
Yeah.
one book at a time.
And it feels it. I've attended a couple of book clubs, and I don't know about you, but there's just this sense of accomplishment. You actually connect with your readers,
Yes.
and they tell you about their experience with your book, which is
Yes.
a frightening experience, but
Yeah.
also it's just validating.
Yeah. Well, I don't get
It's
people trashing my book. I get
no.
people trashing my journalism like every now and then.
Oh,
Strategically, I don't have a CBC email address,
yeah.
but sometimes people will still track down my Gmail and I'll open it up and
What
they're like,
the?
"Why do you hate gambling so much? What are you, a Puritan?" Blah, 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 and all this.
Oh,
I'm like,
geez,
I don't
guys,
have
do
time to
something
argue
else.
with you
Go
about
write your
this.
own book.
Yes, exactly.
Go write your own article if you feel that strongly about
Right.
it. Go write a blog.
Substacks are free,
Substacks
man.
free,
Go.
dude. You owe me a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so people can reach you on Instagram. I will be dropping all of
Yeah.
Morgan links down here, but
At Morgan P. Campbell.
there we go. If you also you can reach out to the book hook. I would be very happy to send along Morgan's information to you if you want it for your book club. Anything that I can do to help you along, Morgan. This is what we do.
I know this is the other thing you learn about
Yeah.
being an author, right? Is that you just wind up networking with other authors and
Yeah.
like I did an event with Matt Morris.
Oh yes, Matt Morris.
Because
Yeah.
it's funny because we had never met each other. We know a lot of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I had met him in person until like last year, February. And we started talking. I was like, man, let's do an event. He's like, yeah, man, let's do an event.
Great
And we wound
idea.
up doing
Yeah.
an event at a different book list downtown. And yeah, so we get to share each other's readers, you know,
Yeah.
introduce fans of my book to fans of his book, introduce fans of his book to fans
Yeah.
of my book,
Yeah.
chop it up a little bit, boom, and there you go. But this is a lot of it too, as writers, is it, you know, we got to network, support each other,
Yeah.
you know,
We
lend
do
and borrow
support
each
each
other's
other.
audiences, etc.
Yeah. Combined book club too. We do some,
Yep.
I don't know about you, Morgan, but 90% of my friends now are writers. I just feel like other people don't understand the bucket of coffee.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Morgan Campbell, I will send you along your merry way.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. And everybody listening, watching My Fighting Family, Borders and Bloodlines and the Battles That Made Us. It is out. Get the hardcover copy. Paperback is coming out soon, but I love a hardcover copy.
Me
I am
too.
always getting the hardcover copy. Thank you, Morgan.
All
And
right. Thank you.
I hope we chat soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Take care, Book Hook Nation.
This episode of The Book Hook was hosted and produced by KJ Aiello with video, content, and social media production by Jackie Johnstone. Don't forget to drop a like, a comment, share, and follow. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at @handlethebookhook_podcast and sign up for our newsletter on Substack.